In every bar, in every town, all over the world. If it weren't for girls, yeah. If it weren't for girls, if it weren't for girls, you'd hear a lot less "hey there, baby," and there'd be less guys going crazy from the call me maybes and the ones that wouldn't stay. And if it weren't for girls, there'd be a lot less hearts broken. And seeing Tori with a dozen roses, I'd be out with the guys a hell of a lot more. But one thing's for sure, there'd be a lot less Friday nights full of neon lights and pick goodbyes. There'd be a lot less season ones and country songs playing all night long. There wouldn't be no slow dancing, couldn't have planned it. First time falling in love. In every bar, in every town, all over the world. If it weren't for girls, yeah. If it weren't for girls.
Everybody, it's Pam Ranch, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Eavesdrop on the Top. And today I have some very special people with us that represent, get this, about 100 million in volume and 96 years of wisdom and experience. How's that for talented people? So will you welcome me and us? Join me in welcoming, that is, Marti Reeder with John L. Scott, Tim McQuery with Keller Williams, and Dawn Rushton with Dawn Rushton Group, and Jule Johnson with Windermere. Welcome, you guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
We are so excited to hear what you have to say and share your wisdom and knowledge with us.
I'm excited too to hear what I have to say.
Great. Yeah.
Everybody else.
Well, I know I'm going to be taking notes as I listen in on you, so I'm going to fade out. And Tim, why don't you kick us off with a question or two?
Hello, angels.
Well, hello.
Bosley.
Yes. How is everybody?
Doing well. Doing very good.
Everybody?
Very good. I seem to be more tired lately than usual.
No, that's good. Well, it's an honor to be with the talent that I'm looking at right now. You guys are much more talented than I am, besides being beautiful. So you can see a little more of my.
He's laying it on thick.
There. So, well, I guess I'll start off maybe sort of trying to get a sense of how you're feeling inside about the market. And I guess I'll just tell you, every year I've gone through different markets, and I get through Christmas, and then kind of about January, I start to panic because I'm like, was it just a fluke? And it's kind of like that feeling that you'll never play another gig again.
Yeah.
And
That's the last also ever saw.
I don't know if that's just my own insecurity, but year after year, I've always felt that. And then I was like, yeah, I got to push that aside. And then all of a sudden, they told me to stay home.
Oh. On top of that, insecurity.
Like someone's telling me to stay home, and then they do, and I'm miserable. Funny how life is, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That's what you wish for.
So you guys have that same insecurity occasionally?
I honestly thought it was just me. I would have never guessed that from you, Tim, or from anybody else who's been in so much longer than me.
Oh, it's a never-ending thing, and I think that's a part of being a successful person, is never letting yourself rest, never believing that it's some kind of magic that happens, because we all know it's hard work. And sometimes it's because I kind of feel like I'm out of luck, but sometimes I just feel too tired. Like I can't keep, I can't do that again, but we always can. I mean, it always works out.
Right.
thick and thin.
You
It
know,
really
Tim,
does.
I think it's funny too, because you said January, and it does kind of feel like, okay, so maybe I should take a vacation in January or something, really kind of like get away. And then the next January, it's totally booked with listings coming up and buyers, and you're going, I can't leave town. And then sometimes it's August. That's the thing about this business. You just never really know
No.
when it's going to hit. And, you know, you can plan on having a great spring. Typically in this area, we're pretty lucky that our market's as busy as it is. But I think you never know. Sometimes it hits January, sometimes December is my best month. So
What was it, like May of 2018 that everything just went flat? Remember that?
Right after Mother's Day,
Yeah.
the last 2 years, right after everything, the market was on fire. And then right after Mother's Day, it just, it was crazy.
Yeah. Not so much last year, but 18, we really felt it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show that it's always something. You know what I mean? It's so unpredictable. This is unpredictable, but it's still just another bump, really. It's just another speed bump.
That's probably why we love it so much, because there's just one day and one transaction, everything is always different, right?
Yeah, bring them on. Yeah, try to stop us.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, really.
Maybe that's why a roller coaster is so much fun.
Yeah.
You're up, you're down.
This up. I mean, if somebody said it's going to be a pandemic that's going to slow the market, or there's going to be like War of the Worlds kind of a situation, honestly, I mean, I would have probably went for the invaders from outer space over this, really.
Right.
And you'd be thinking, I wonder if they need a house, right?
Exactly.
Well, so I guess the feeling is that you come to the conclusion that, you know, sure, we're in uncharted waters, but the reality is we're always in uncharted waters. We don't, the economy is always going to change. Things are always going to change. And you have to be able to, you know, obviously adapt to that and know that, you know, you'll live another day to dance. So I guess, are you guys doing anything differently right now?
You know, I've been busy, honestly. You know, it's so soon. You know, people are asking me daily, like, is this, how bad is this going to be? Who can possibly know? It's so new. If for my business, I'd say I have a few people that would have come on the market that decided not to, but things are selling. I know you guys I look more than I normally do at the market ever since, you know, for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Me too.
Okay, we see some more back on markets than we're used to seeing. Okay, that's expected. But the time on market is like crazy still. And in my experience, I think I just wrote some notes down here. I think we've had 4 listings sell in the last 4 weeks, and they all went quickly. Now I have 1 that's still on, but still, I mean, that's, you know, to be expected. But they all went quickly. 2 out of 4 went for more than full with multiple offers. And this is while this is going on. And this is before we even knew as much as we do now. And I think every day that goes by, people get, even though I know more people are losing their jobs, but I think we're getting less in panic mode and it's becoming.
Right.
So it should be getting better, even if nothing changes for the next month. I think that people's confidence levels are going up. I'm just surprised at how little change I've seen. I don't know. How about you guys? Am I missing something?
From what I can see, you know, there was a lack of inventory before we went into this.
Right.
I honestly think that even if this had not happened, there would have still been a lack of inventory going on. Right. Even if the pandemic had never even happened, I think we would have struggled with a lack of inventory, which tells you there's a lot of buyers out there.
There are, absolutely. And they're not afraid. I mean, they're pushing forward. If you look this morning, I'm scrolling through at the stuff that just came on the market 3 or 4 days ago, and it's all pending.
Yeah, That's what
And
sure.
it's crazy. And I've had that experience with the listings that I brought on. It's like nothing's, now it's all awkward and difficult, with the way showings go down. And I have people calling me instead of clients to get in. Fortunately for me, all but one of these was vacant. So that makes life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, vacancy makes a big difference. Yeah.
So, but just like anything else, it's really too soon to tell. It's just too soon. We always know how things are what happened months and sometimes even years later, we can look back and see the blips and such. But right now, I have a high level of confidence that we're going to come out of this okay, and that we're still moving forward. In a different way, and with a lot of restrictions, it's like trying to do your job with, your hands tied behind your back to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right.
That's the description.
What are you telling people? Are you holding listings up the market? Do you feel like that you're telling people wait, or are they wanting to wait, or what's happening with your, your pipeline stuff coming up?
I can say that my pipeline is the same. There's a couple extras that are coming in as well, but it's the same that I've planned on putting on in terms of listings for spring. All of those people are still going on. They all have different reasons why they have to move.
Right.
Some greater than others, like they've already purchased, so they can't afford the double mortgages, or they need to move before. I had a seller that they wanted to move before, in anticipation of the governor perhaps shutting the borders. There was a rumor about that for a bit, and they just got out of Dodge and handed me the keys.
Yeah.
So they had to sell, and I'm definitely not I don't tend to be a projector or to look to like next week or next year or what kind of market we're in, so much as just what's in front of me. Mm-hmm. And everything that I put on has had multiple offers, mm-hmm. and has sold. And what I find my kind of takeaway though of interest is, in my little mini world, I can tell you how many buyers came in to look at that house for $475. So if one person got it, there's another 12 or 13 that did not, and they're still in the market.
Right.
Yes.
Sure.
And that's just this little space. And we all have that experience, and then again, that equals the hot sheet, basically.
Do you guys have any hesitation with sellers right now not wanting to put their house on the market because of the pandemic, because of what's going on, but more like, will we be able to find something on the other side of the rainbow? Do people hesitate because of that?
I can answer. Does anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah, well, my hesitation with the people I have in mind right now, they're elderly, and and they're both in poor health. It's like, and I'm like, yeah, let's just give it a minute. I don't want that. They're not great online, so everything I do with them is going to have to be in person. And it's just, and people coming in and out of their house, I just don't want that responsibility. The rest of them I'm just telling them, go for it. I don't see any reason not to.
No, I agree.
Although I'm really grateful, and I think clients are also grateful that they feel like they kind of snuck by this whole thing. Like they put it on, we got it sold, they just kind of went, phew, and are glad. And I keep saying this, but it's just too soon to know, because some of this is momentum we're seeing. Let's be honest. Our little dip could be ahead. I know for our money piece of it, I got closings from February and March closing now. See, mm-hmm. And so, but I that I'm going to be out of stuff, and my pipeline's going to get, unless things start picking up a little bit. But there's always the ebb and flow. But I think we're going to feel it a little bit more in a couple months than we're feeling it right now, possibly.
I think so. I've told people, in fact, I had some that I said, let's wait till the end of the month so we can see what happens through this month of everybody staying home. And then I'm noticing things sell. I said, something, let's go on next week. So we're coming on next week, right. Just because luckily it's vacant. They've already purchased another house, which really helps. Because that way you can get, somebody in to paint too or something. So because nobody wants to be around other people. The homeowners don't want a painter in there with them. So it kind of helps when there's nobody there, But I just seen everything sell, and since we don't know, like you said, Dawn, we don't know what's coming. I say just get it going, and maybe it'll sit on market a little bit longer while people are still waiting for these last weeks, but maybe not, right? Because you guys are seeing stuff go just as quickly as I am, just
Right.
really fast.
So really the conversation, I would think the conversation would be with like sellers would be, like what you were saying, Dawn, is, we don't know what the market's going to look like in 2 months or 3 months. Right now, there's pent up demand. So if you're moving out of state or you're going to, do something like that, why not take advantage of the market right now? And, the last one I put on, they were kind of dragging their feet. And I said, you got to jump on the market right now and take advantage of it. And it ended up selling for $25,000 over list.
Wow.
And I think they are really, really thankful that they got it done, and they don't have to worry about what's going to happen like in 3 months.
I know we all get this question, and you get this question 18 months ago, 5 years ago, 3 days ago. Is it a good time to come on the market? It's like, is now good, or would 3 months be better? And just take that question back 6 months. I always tell people, well, all I can tell you is what's going on now. I mean, there's the typical times of year that there's more sales. I've always felt like there's more sales in spring because there's more buyers in spring, and there's more to buy in spring. So it's kind of, if you had a lot of inventory sitting around in the fall, you'd probably have more sales. So you have more people putting their house on the market, and then the buyers meet the demand, etc. But so if someone 6 months ago saying, is it a good time now? My answer would be, well, all we can know is now. That's all we know. We can't guess what's going to happen in 2 weeks unless 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And this is a perfect example of that. I mean, I've seen the Gulf War, the Nisqually earthquake, 9/11, all those things happened very unexpectedly, and they all caused blips in or a hitch in our giddy up. So we don't know when those things are coming, and this is a perfect example of that. So is now a good time, as opposed to what could happen next? Wait 6 months. Well, then who knows what the future holds? All we know is now, and right now is pretty dang good. I mean, as far as I can see, and 3 days from now may be different, but right now is pretty dang solid in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting that, we talk about, and for Dawn and I, and, you guys too. I mean, you used to sort of be able to gauge the market and go back a couple years and go, statistically, here's a great time to sell your house, and here's a great time to buy a house because there's more inventory on the market if you're a buyer. So let's wait till, springtime or summertime to go out and buy, and you're a seller, so here's about the time that I think you should go on the market. But then it just seems like we can't rely on what's happened in the past whatsoever. Because like you said, 2018, right after Mother's Day, the market shut off.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you explain that to people?
That's why I always say, all we know is what's in front of us now. That's all we know. Interest rates are low, the buyers are still out there. And even when the market's been slower, in 2011, it's like, well, should I wait or should I do it now? It's like, who in the heck knows? Who could have predicted what? I mean, I could kind of feel what was happening. Tim and I have had this conversation. I kind of saw 2008 coming. I think we all kind of felt like something was just off. And, but we all lived through that, and that is, I can promise you, this is one thing I feel like I know with certainty. This isn't going to be nothing like that. As bad as it is not going to be that bad. And what's interesting to me is, Jule, Jule, you've been around for 10 years, right? Okay. So that means, let's do my math, 2010. So you came into the market when it was still pretty crappy, really.
Oh, everything's a short sale or bank owned or something. I learned how to do short sales right off the bat.
The best time, in my opinion, as a new
Oh,
agent,
I agree.
the
Yeah.
best time to become a real estate agent is when the market is at its worst, when it is like in complete chaos and turmoil. Because if you can make it through that, you're going to make it through everything. I personally am feeling extremely calm about all this, to me. I mean, you know, I was asking myself, is it just because I'm too old to care? I don't know. I mean, I know, but it's like, why do I feel so calm? And I just think that I've just seen so much. And one thing in my mind, and this sounds kind of mean, but it shakes out a lot of the, you know, we get a lot of competition going on. And there's some, you know, there's some people who just, you know, are doing it part-time or selling their uncle's cousin's neighbor's house or whatever, or selling at a discount. And when we have times like this, it shakes some of those folks loose. And we all get, you know, those of us who've been around a little bit longer get a bigger piece of the pie.
Well, and I think if you're a newer agent, I know this is not probably the right thing to say, but you know, getting a wake-up call or shaking you right now at the beginning of your career, that's only going to make you a stronger, better agent in the long run, because you'll know that, you know, the market is always going to throw curveballs at you.
Mhm.
And, you know, we were talking earlier, like, when you and I, Dawn, were like walking around in the late 80s selling houses.
Interest rates were what, 12? When I started, they were 12.
Correct. But if somebody would have told us that there would have been a 2008 coming up in our lives,
Right.
that right at the beginning of our careers, we would have started preparing, doing things different, all of those kind of things.
Well,
So,
I think, you know, and I have 2 buyer's agents and an admin, and you know, I brought them up to realize that, first of all, be grateful for every transaction you do, and don't ever get to the point where you're just thinking, you know, it's just all going to fall in my lap, and you know, it's always going to be like that, and you don't need to try. But also to save your dang money. I mean, you know, we're in an industry that's exciting and fun and very lucrative. I could have never had the life that I have doing anything else. I know that. But I was a single mom, and I saved my money, and this is what, you know, I explain to my kids. It's like, this is the rainy day that I've been talking about. This came out of nowhere, and it's affected everyone. I have 3 children. They all have spouses. Jessica works with me. So she's working and I'm working and her husband's working, but the other 4 are laid off, you know, and they're college educated, have good jobs. And they're all not working right now. And that is a very scary thing that I could have never predicted.
Right.
So fortunately for them, they have some money set aside, and that is, I just can't say it enough. It sounds kind of old fashioned, but if you're going to be in this business, you have to prepare. Even in, like, last year for us was not our best year. 2018 was way better. We were down probably 20-25%. I have no idea why. And it's going to happen. Every year is not going to be your best year. You want every year to go up and up and up, and usually it does. But I have been keeping track of this for 30. I've been at it for like 37, but I've been keeping careful track of it for 30 years. And it's up, 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 down, up, down, up, up, you know, and you're going to have that. And this is one of the things that might cause it. This could be a great year for us. We don't know yet. It's too soon to just count it out. It really is.
Mhm.
So what are you guys doing that's a little bit different now that you can't be out in the field as much? I mean, as far as like your business.
Like working from home?
Yeah.
Zooming?
Yeah.
Oh, what are we doing as in, I I mean, everything's different in so many ways. That first week after we got the governor's order and we all left our offices to go home with reams of paper underneath our arms and our laptop over here and a few files. And then immediately I had this task list to call all the people that were, I had my pendings, and I had to find out where we're going to have notaries, where we're going to final walkthroughs, that whole bit. And so for a few days there, that was all in question, and there was some stress, and I needed to be the voice of reason. I'm a better voice of reason when I know what the rules are, and for a little bit there we really didn't know. Then that came in and changed, and so I could reassure everybody. And then there's not just the pendings, but I had the upcoming clients, and then I have a database. I mean, I've got relationships out there, and it's my job to communicate to them. And so one thing I'll say that I am doing differently is that I'm looking sort of beyond right in front of me. Like I'm working, I'm not just doing this transaction and trying to negotiate right now on this one. I have to be looking way ahead. I need to be, Rosie mentioned this in the first Eavesdrop, and that was that it's about, a state of mind. So I have to keep on my good state of mind, make sure that I'm, I really feed off other people. So like being in an office space setting is really, really important to me, the face-to-face, the hugs, all of that stuff. And that's not happening right now. So, but I have to pump myself up, if you will, and then in turn, do that for my staff. And then I have to also do that for my clients. And so at one point, one of them said, not pending, but we were just going out into the marketplace, and they had some questions. And then finally I said, you know what? This is why you're paying me the big bucks. I am the one who you have chosen out of everybody else to help you sell your house.
Right.
And I'm following the protocol. We can be perfectly, I don't want to do anything you're not comfortable with. So that was definitely, that's a different story. But to keep the right mindset, not just for me, for my team, for my whole database, for my pending clients, and for my upcoming clients. And so I think one thing I'd say to him is that I'm a little bit more tired than usual.
Interesting. I having less to do with business and more just to do with just life in general. I had the first couple of weeks were really hard for me. I felt really stressed, and I was really grumpy, and I was not sleeping. And I know it's hard to imagine me grumpy, right, Tim? But I just kind of like, I think the weather improving helped me, and just thought I just came to terms with it. And I reflected back on, because there's the business piece of it, but there's also, I want to cuddle my grandkids. I mean, I've been cut off from my grandkids, and we lost my husband's stepdad to coronavirus.
Oh no.
2 weeks ago Monday. I have a good friend who I think Tim knows, we'll talk about that later, who is recovering now. So that's created a lot of stress, and we can't comfort Paul's mom because, so I guess where I'm getting at is not all about me. It's just, I just decided, what if I could comfort other people? Like, call around, see if anybody needs anything. I have rentals. I called my tenants, and I called my, some clients that are I know that are older and I haven't talked to in a while. It gave me a reason to just check in on them. Yeah. And they appreciated it, and it made me feel good, and it calmed me down to a huge degree. So I think that's one of the things that we can do if we find time on our hands, which I don't think any of us really have at this point, but it's just picking up the phone and calling people like we know we're supposed to, but we don't always feel comfortable doing it.
But this gives you a great reason to call somebody.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? I know you're a client, but I care about you, and I just want to know how you're doing. Right. Yeah. Right. It has helped me, and I've had some really good conversations. And it's not about business. It truly is not. I mean, we all know that these kinds of contacts and caring and do help build our business, and that's why we've been in business as long as we have. We build relationships, but it has made me feel, it has calmed me down. It's given me something to do on top of all the other things that I'm trying to do, keeping everything closed, getting everything closed and whatnot.
I think
But business building, that's hard to know how that's going to all turn out.
Sure.
it feels like everything is twice as hard. Um, and I just mean running my regular business, which is really, just up and running. There was a blip there. It was an exhausting, emotional blip of a week or two, but it's just back up and running. But I definitely feel more, not exhausted, but everything just seems to be twice as hard. That's all I got to say about that.
Marty, it's also just, like I said, I was sharing about, not being able to comfort my mother-in-law when her husband died or be with my grandkids. That makes everything harder in just real life. You take that strain and just add it into how stressful our jobs are, although we love them to death and we live on the stress. It's a weight. It's like a weight that's pushing you down on top of trying to comfort other people. And they have their their issues and things like that. And I just worry about dumb things like my Easter traditions and stuff like that, and we just get creative. But I think just looking out for other people in the meantime, and it kind of lifts a little bit of the weight. But I think that's what you're feeling, Marty. Is that why it feels like it's harder? Well, because to some degree it is, but it's also just your own personal stress that you're feeling through this too.
I agree.
I've got an 84-year-old mother who doesn't get it, and so I have to practically lock her in her house. And
I've heard about that with the older folks.
She cries when I leave, because she wants me to come in, and I can't, and that's stressful.
I think that was a great point, Dawn, because I'm probably not giving enough credit to the fact that my stepdaughter moved in. I've got the mother of my 2 grandbabies, who she's got her own set of stresses. Her husband's an essential worker, so even though he's trying to social distance, maybe it's not perfect all the time, so then that stresses her out. Her mother-in-law just got cancer. She's right in the middle of trying to get scans and treatments, and it's not a smooth process during all this going on. I've got I've got 2 other kids too, and then I've got 2 mommies that work for me. Guess who's at home with? Guess where they are? They're at home, and everybody else is home too.
Yes.
And so you're right. That's just, I think we all, and not just those of us who have quite a bit of a business still going on in the middle of this. There's others maybe who don't have as much business to do right now, or maybe they're just getting started. That we all have to be self-motivating more than ever, and we have this other emotional weight.
Yeah, so you've got a house full now. See, I mean, that would wear me out. Like just having other people that I have to, worry about. My daughter lives 11 doors down, and I can't even see my own grandkids, and she's like freakish about this, and then Kylie, one of my buyer's agents, is pregnant, and that's stressful too. She's about 10 weeks to go, but I mean, she's worried. Like, is her husband going to get to be in the room with her? And that, and I worry about her worrying about that. And so I think sometimes we are our business. I mean, we've been doing this. We love what we do. We're successful at what we do, and we kind of live it, and we kind of mold it into our lives. I mean,
and that's true. It is
also in the industry.
It is a part of your life. And, just like you guys were talking a minute ago, here's the underlying stresses that I have going on in my life. So, when I occasionally teach a class, I try to explain to new agents that, you have to remember, besides real estate, these people you're dealing with, they have things going on in their life. They still have to get their kids ready for bed. They still have to prepare dinner. They still have to do day-to-day kind of things that are going on. And then, they have the stresses of their jobs and stuff like that. So if somebody doesn't get back to you immediately, it's not that they're ignoring you. It's just there's a lot going on. And especially right now. So, like if you were gonna try to set up a showing or this or that, you don't know what's going on the other side with the showing.
I think that's true. And I think, the kind of the heart of our business is that we are all kind of caretakers of our clients. And then now we have our families that we're also worried about. Maybe, Dawn, maybe that's kind of where you're going with that, is that it's not only we're trying to take care of our clients, but now our kids who have always done, just gone with the roll with the punches, now we're having to worry about them. And I think, that added worry is tough. But on the other side, I think that as we roll through all this, it's all gonna. I'm really optimistic about where it's going, and I hope that I'm right. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And one of the things I just go, it is what it is. And so we'll just move forward and do what we can do. And I think that maybe like what you were saying, Tim, about understanding that our clients may be stressful as well and stressed out, and maybe just that little bit of stepping back and kindness and compassion. Because we're bulldozers, right? We just go right at it. Well, and so now I have to kind of step back a little bit and just go, okay, it's okay. We'll go on market next week, kind of thing.
When you're dealing with another agent, I think whether you're sending an offer or receiving an offer, those people that you're dealing with, they may have a lot of stresses going on. They may have just recently lost somebody to this thing, or they can't go see their grandkids, or they can't do this, or right. So keep in mind, just, having a little bit of compassion that, we're all sort of in this together, and we have
compassion for ourselves too, because we're very driven, and we got to realize that if we're not sleeping well, or if we're feeling stressed, or if it feels like everything's just that much harder, there's a reason for that, But back to the business end of it, and I really want to get you guys' opinions, because if you just look at this from a real practical aspect, okay? So buyers come in 3 categories, in my opinion. You got your first-time buyers that drive the market. You got the move-up buyers, and then you got the move-down buyers. So the first-time buyers, so one of the issues that we're having right now is with lending. So a lot of these down payment assistance programs that were just becoming popular again, gone. I had a deal fall out because of that early on. And fortunately, the house sold again right away. By the way, I know a bank that's doing them if you have anybody. Because, okay, but so that's one example. And other first-time buyers are just, the gig workers are there. They're not working right now. So their little nest egg that they were going to use to put down on a down payment is now keeping them alive. They're supporting themselves and possibly another family member, possibly. Even if they're getting unemployment or whatever, they're supporting somebody else. So from a practical aspect, that should be a kind of a doom and gloom thing. And then you have your move up buyers who might have felt really confident about doing that a minute ago, but now all of a sudden they're going, wait a minute, we're both laid off. Maybe this house isn't so bad. I mean, we were feeling really confident. Our retirement fund was high, and when you just got a raise and I just got a promotion, and now they went from raises and promotions to being sitting at home dealing with kids. And then there's the people who are trying to get, move up that next level into the $1 million house and need a jumbo loan. And we all know what happened with the jumbo loans. And I got another note on that in a minute. And then you've got your people who are moving down and, downsizing, and they're kind of frozen right now because 2 reasons. Again, their retirement just sunk, and that might slow them down. They may be working longer now instead. Or they're just, for health reasons, they're afraid to go out and look or pursue it or move or do anything like that. So all those things add up to just like, how can we possibly get out of this? I don't know the answer, but I just know it's going to happen. Now, why do I feel so? I think we all feel confident about that. With all those factors, what makes us so confident that everything's going to be okay?
Well, my thought was that it wasn't a financial issue that got us into this. It was a blindsided virus, right? And so my hope is that, if we can get through this quickly, and by that I mean a month or 2, We've already been a month through it. I think that it will recover much quicker and get back to normal or a new normal much quicker than if it would have been, something financial, which can rock the country, so this is just totally different. I guess we don't really know what to expect.
The way I think about that, Julie, is that the events of 9/11, for example, though that was not led by a financial crisis, economic, housing market stuff, but it was a crisis of a different sort. But that was an event. That was a thing, a side, what's that word? Side swipe? I guess I don't know what I'm looking for. But anyway, it was a significant event that halted many, many things and caused it certainly had different ripple effects. And my view is that that's what this is. And of course, as we sit here in the middle of it, we don't know what it's going to look like when we're done or when it will be done or what have you. But so anyway, so this is an event. It's not financially driven, and it doesn't feel very good to use the word. I'm encouraged about that during all of this. But so there's that about the housing market. I guess I wanted, in the spirit of Tim was suggesting being compassionate to other brokers. I actually have the newer brokers on my heart right now. They can't do the floor time right now. They can't do open houses right now. And it made me think back to the market crash. I had only been in the market for a few years, so I was just learning to get started. My first 6 months I did nothing. My next 12 months I did 5 deals total. Next 12 months 5, and then the market crashed. So I'd had 10 deals behind my belt before there was a crash. And I think what I would like to do is just encourage you guys, all of us, whether we have a deal now or listing around the corner or not, that this is a full-time business and you're building your business. And those of us who have been at longer, we need to keep the momentum going. This is not a time to stop, save money on those postage stamps to mail to your database, or if you don't even have that money, make your phone calls. But just keep making smart decisions. This is a fabulous time to get educated, to get your continuing ed hours in. Don't get educated beyond continuing ed hours. There's a plethora of resources out there. I mean, if your email looks anything like mine, you know that there's 10 or 20 invitations to participate in something a day. And so many of the leaders are trying to are giving free content as a means of service. We know that we also give free content and we serve, and we hope and assume and think and pray that someday that'll come back to us financially. And they are all doing that too now. There's just so much that can be done. And if anybody wants a list of all the things you could possibly do, I'd be glad to help.
I think
you're not going on vacation at home.
Right. As far as coming back, I guess I can only go, my past experience going through Gulf Wars, going through presidential elections, and all of those kind of things. And the one thing I always noticed, I remember the first Gulf War, and they were talking about invading, and the market just kind of shut down. And once the bombs, I hate to say it, started to fall, then it was October and the market just opened up again. And I was like super, super busy. And what I guess my feeling is once people know that they're going to be fine and they're going to make it through this, and honestly, I think people are going to come out of their houses and they are going to be so engaged in life with other people, with going, you know what, I'm tired of waiting around to make the next move of my life. And you know what? I love my wife, but I'm sure thankful I'm on acreage here. So
I hear you.
And if you're a first-time buyer, can you imagine being quarantined in an apartment?
Yeah.
I've thought about that. Yeah,
Right,
that would be
and
tough.
it's no different when people came home from World War II. They just wanted to get on with their lives. They wanted to start a job, buy a house, get married, have kids, all of those kind of things.
There's going to be a lot of babies here coming up, so they're going to be out busting.
I know of one.
No, not me.
Not me. Hey, you guys, I'm just gonna want to take over for a second. I just saw that we have some questions in the chat bar, and so I thought I'd throw one at you, Julie, that I'm reading. It says they're asking you, what do you do to keep your mindset in check right now?
You know, I think it's keeping a routine.